Hi, my name is Jamie Saint, and we are at the Global Missions Health Conference in Louisville, Kentucky, hosted by Southeast Christian Church. Thanks for joining. Today my guest is a good friend. He is Charlie Vittitow. Many of you may have seen Charlie in The Missions Dilemma. You may have also seen him in the video Those Same Hands. If not, you can look that up on the iTech USA YouTube channel. But Charlie is a dentist by training. He's a businessman by enjoyment. And now he's the missions pastor at Southeast Christian Church, a church of about 30,000 people a weekend. And you may be saying, let me get this straight. He's a dentist, he's a businessman, and now he's a missions pastor of a large church. That's right. That's Charlie. And I think you're going to see today why he has those life experiences. Charlie, welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Same. Yes, good to be here.
Charlie, this journey that you've been on over the last 15 or so years, maybe even 20 years, you tell the story about you went to Jamaica. You were a dentist. You did a lot of dental trips until Jamaica. Tell us about what happened in Jamaica.
Yeah. So our church would send a dental team down every year, and we would spend a week. And you show up at a site that was selected by the local church, and already there's 200 people waiting to see you. So we get our stuff out, set it all up, and we start processing patients, and we're going as fast as we possibly can. So the last day, it's time to leave. We got to catch a plane in about an hour. I'm working away, and my friend comes up to me and says, hey, he taps me on the shoulder as I'm working. I turn around and he goes, hey, Charlie, I need for you to tell me something. What am I supposed to tell these people? There's still 85 people that haven't been served yet. So I said, Paul, I don't know what you tell them, but I'm kind of busy right now, so you tell them whatever you want to tell them. So I went back to work and working away, and there's 4 of us there trying to frantically get to as many abscess teeth out as we possibly could. He comes back and he taps me on the shoulder. I turn around, I'm like, what on earth? When I turn around, he's got tears rolling down his face. And he says to me, Charlie, you need to tell me what I'm supposed to tell them. So I had never seen what we were doing. I'd many trips where we went and we did dentistry. I never thought about the people we had left behind. Well, you see, Paul had spent 4 days with these folks. He knew their stories. He knew the mom whose 15-year-old son cries himself to sleep every night and she can do nothing for him. Or the person that had walked 2 days to get there. Or the people that had been in pain for years, some of them, and the desperation. And I never saw that until I saw Paul in tears. And it just really messed me up. So we wrapped up and we left those people behind, and that was it. I was like, Lord, I told the Lord, this is not the way you would do it. So as the Lord would have it, I met your dad. And he was coming to our church to do a devotion, and I didn't know the story of your family, and I should have, but I didn't. I wasn't a mission pastor at that time, so I guess that helps a little bit. But so he said, hey, a staff on our church at the time said, I got this guy who's got a dental chair. You should see it. I said, okay, a dental chair to do short-term missions with. Okay, that'd be fine, because I hear these stories a lot. They got this new invention. So I met Steve Saint for the first time. He showed me the chair. Actually, it's pretty cool. And it's a lot better than the lounge chairs we've been using. So that was nice. Steve presented, and I got to know a little bit more of his story. We went to lunch, and during lunch, your dad asked me this question. He said, Charlie, why do you go do dentistry? Why don't you teach him? I don't think I said anything to him, but I said, man, you're outside your mind. How can I teach in 6 days what it took me 4 years to learn? And then as the Holy Spirit and your dad would have it, he just asked a question and left it. But it started processing in me, my experience in Jamaica. And I started thinking about how I was trained as a dentist in dental school. Like we studied embryology and dental anatomy of alveolar bone and the molecular structure of lidocaine. But when it came time to do local anesthetic, we just kind of paired up and we just did it, and we learned on each other. And you don't need to know the embryonic origin of dental pulp to extract a tooth. Then when it was time to learn how to extract the tooth, a student a year ahead of me showed me how to do it. So I thought, well, maybe we could do this. So I called a missionary in northern Ghana, and his name was King. I said, King, could we, do you have dental problems in your community? And he said, oh, yeah. I said, well, what's it like? He goes, there's like one part-time dentist for 3 million people. So I said, well, could we come and train you? And he said, come. So about a couple months after that, got on a plane, loaded all the equipment, all the same surgical instruments we'd use if we're in the States, all the sterilization, everything. And we show up in northern Ghana and we unpack this stuff. And I look at these 4 guys we're going to train. And I said, Lord, what have you got me into? Or what have I hope I heard you well. So we trained them. And in 6 days, they took out more teeth than I took in 4 years of dental school. And then after 6 days, I could tell they were really getting it. So I left and I said, now, don't take out lower third molars, and there's some other things I told them not to do. And so I went back a year later. And in the meantime, they were taking out tons of teeth because there's a huge need. And I come back the next year, and these guys are gifted surgeons. So not super educated, no college degrees, a few Bible degrees, but I was so encouraged by what I saw. Mm-hmm. And then the impact it had on the community. So no longer did I have to go on a trip and then leave a bunch of people behind. We trained them and they were able to meet the needs. And the powerful thing about it is that there's a connection between good health and the gospel. And so that's why Jesus sent his disciples to heal the sick. Something happens when you're able to heal someone. So that's my story.
Yeah, great. You know, King came to iTech about 4 years ago and said that they have documented treatment of over 43,000 patients without a single negative incident. And he said the one part-time government dentist that was there for the 2.5 or 3 million people said that when he runs into a problem, he sends his patients to the pastors. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we don't even think about like that doesn't even compute. Mm-hmm. But you were willing to take a risk, follow and be obedient to the leading of the Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. You went, you trained them. Now, was that your last training trip, or have you done?
No, like my colleagues have taken over and they're traveling the world and doing this through iTech, through Empower, through some great organizations, and it's catching on. Mm-hmm. Now, it's great in frontier areas where there's no dental care, so it has to be in the right spot, but it happens to be the very spot where the gospel isn't is where we need to go.
Yeah.
Now, here's another thing we did. As a healthcare worker, you have to be careful that you're not cavalier about this skill. So a few years after we did initial training, the University of Kentucky came to Ghana, and we did a double-blind study. We evaluated surgical outcomes of 2 American dentists compared to 4, we call them lay dentists, surgical outcomes. And the observer, when they evaluated the patient 1 day, 3 day, and 6 days post-op, they didn't know who worked on that patient, whether it was an American dentist or one of these lay dentists. The study showed, and we timed procedures, American dentists could pull teeth a lot faster and get teeth out a lot faster. But we teach that technique intentionally, that we don't get in a hurry, because you break off root tips when you get in a hurry. But the study showed that, yeah, there was a higher incidence of dry socket among the students because it took them longer, but the surgical outcomes, the patient satisfaction were identical. So dry sockets by nature are self-limiting, so I think we can't do things without verifying that it's safe. Yeah. So that was verification.
So today there are many dentists with both Empower and iTech who are traveling the world, and the focus is remote areas. We're not going to compete with dentists who are already there. Most of the countries we go to, for instance, Liberia, 4 million people only 3 government dentists. So the need is huge.
The need is massive.
But for the people out there who aren't dentists, who maybe are not doctors or nurses, who say, man, I don't have a skill, but we want to take this empowerment model and we want to equip the national church, but at the same time, we don't want to do any harm. So where is the balance between how can we tell if we're going to help while at the same time making sure that we're not doing any harm? Because people say, man, I've seen the missions dilemma and we've done so many wrong things. We don't want to do anything wrong, so we're just not going to, we're not doing anything.
Yeah.
What do you tell them?
I would say that the mission field has changed. Our forefathers, missionaries that went to a lot of places around Africa and India, the church is there in many places. And if it's not there, it's close by so that it can go and plant churches in new places. So the model of ministry now is not to go all by yourself. You have to have that significant partner in that country that you go together. It's the Great Commission. We go together with Jesus. So as we go with them, they will open the door and see things that we can't see because we're from another culture altogether. So for example, the question I always get, what do the government officials say about, training folks? They don't have a degree. You trained them in 6 days. So that question is up to that local partner on how to deal with it, because they know the laws of their land, they know what's possible and what's not possible. And so they all handle it differently, because when we go, the government officials show up and start asking questions. So it's been our experience, it's important to have that local partner that can really help you. And as you go together, then it gives it sustainability and staying power too. So.
Well, this has been just a few minutes picking Charlie's brain and his experience. When he talks about missions, he's talking from the point of being a missions pastor at a very large church that is very missional in nature. We're here at the largest medical missions conference in the world, held and hosted by Southeast Christian Church, of which you are the top dog when it comes to missions. So he's not as good at ping pong as others that are sitting at this table.
I'm a top dog in ping pong is what you meant to say.
We have played on at least 2 continents, and well, let's just say that it hasn't worked out real well for Charlie. But when it comes to missions, Charlie, that's his world, that's what he's doing, that's what he's been involved in. Go with relationship, find that local partner. You may already have that with your church.
Yeah.
Partner together, let's do this mission together. It's not for you, it's not for me, it's for the church. Let's focus on, as a church, where we are alike and less about where we're different. Because there are differences, but they're minor. When the main things are the main things, then we can work together. We can work with like-minded organizations and churches, both here and overseas. And let's do this mission together. Don't lose heart. The mission field, it needs us. We're commanded to go. But let's go in relationship, let's go in partnership, and let's go together. This is Jamie sitting with Charlie at Southeast Christian Church for the Global Missions Health Conference 2018. Thanks for joining us.